Oh, man.
All right, there we go. Hey, everybody, how's it going today? My name's Todd. This is Nick. Eff Yeah Podcast. Having fun. Sponsored by InfinityCon. David and Marvin will pop in. Is it that? It's that way for me. This way. Okay.
This mirror effect sucks.
Yeah, so it's one of the sides. InfinityCon, Tallahassee, July. Check it out. It'll be awesome. Here we got a little banner. Boom, done. All right, yeah, that's where we're going to go check out. David from InfinityCon is going to be joining us tonight at some point. He should be hopping on soon. Marvin should be here soon as well. Until then, we're just going to BS and have fun. So what's going on, buddy? How you been?
Not much. How you like the new headgear? Figured I'd try something new.
It looks good. It looks good. I like it.
My gaming headset. Apparently my mic is not working out so well. So
it sounds better. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It sounds better. Yeah.
We'll find out how good that actually is. They actually want to hear my voice more. But you know.
I like it. All right. So what? Oh, have you seen the? Did you see the trailer for the new Transformers movie, Rise of the Beasts? All right.
Yes, I saw. We went and saw. I think it was when we went and saw Mario Brothers. I think it was one of the trailers for that too.
Did you see like the spoiler about who the big bad guy is?
Maybe.
The biggest like bad guy that they've ever had.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was in the trailer, and that was one of the things that was.
So you saw that Unicron is going to be a big bad guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember if I saw him or I know I heard it. They were like Unicron is coming or something like that. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't remember if I actually saw him or if I walked away for a second. I don't remember. But
so yeah, Unicron's going to be there.
Are you depressed that they announced it or that they?
I am.
Spoiled it?
I'm really upset that they spoiled that because I'm telling you right now, if I had been in theaters and it just like that happened, I'd have lost my ever loving mind.
It'd have been like, the Avengers Assemble all over again.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it would have been, or the I'm Always Angry from the Hulk.
Oh yeah,
that one was great. But I mean, I'm excited. I will go see it in theaters. I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out to go see it in theaters.
I will too. It's the first one I've been excited about in a while.
Yeah,
I didn't see the last night or anything like that. I think Revenge of the Fall was the last one I saw, but this one actually looks bad.
Revenge of the Fall, I think that was 2. Was that 2?
No, Revenge of the Fall was 3.
Was it?
Yeah, because that was the one with what, Sentinel Prime or whatever it was, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Was that?
I'm pretty sure that was 2. I'm pretty sure that was 3.
I know nothing.
Hey, Dave.
Hello.
Yeah, what's going on?
We have a guest.
One.
He's got a special guest. Hey, special guest.
I have a special guest for a moment.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Hey, that'll work.
Hey, how are you?
Say hi. Cole, say hi.
Hi.
Of course, he can't hear you. You want to wave at him?
That's all right.
Hi. How old is our little guy?
He is 9 months old.
Ooh.
He just pulled a key off my keyboard, so I'm trying to get it back on.
Well,
starting early.
9 months old.
God, I know, right? Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Oh man.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Fantastic, man. How are you?
Good, dude. Pretty good. We just got back from the bonus parents and
Nice.
Say hi.
Hey, buddy. Hey. We could just sit and hang out with kids all day. Like, I mean, honestly, kids are more fun than anything at this point.
Yeah. He's usually smiley, but he's kind of hungry and a little tired. He didn't have a nap today. I went nap today.
Same, bro. Same. It's an absolute travesty that we grow out of naps, or that society forces us to grow out of naps.
Oh yeah. My daughter hasn't napped since she was 1, so.
See, my daughter's 3, and she still naps. She'll do a good 2 hour, and I'm like, yes.
Good for you.
Man.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Lucky.
So far. We'll see if this guy does it.
My 4-year-old wants nothing to do with naps. She'll nap at daycare. Daycare, no problem whatsoever. Home on the weekends wants absolutely nothing to do with it, but clearly needs it. Like,
just losing her mind.
Yeah, I mean, by the afternoon or evening, like it's just like, oh my God, can I go back to work? But she needs a nap. So.
Yeah. Now you waving? Say,
hi.
There he is. There's a smile.
Hi.
Yay.
This is that adorable age though. Like I feel like 9 months to like 2 is like that prime, like most fun age.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm running a little late here, guys. I guess we're
All
actually
good.
live and running now.
We
right?
are.
Yeah, we're live. We're just BSing, having fun. So
Nice.
we figured why
movie
not.
trailers and stuff. So
Yeah.
So we were talking about the new Transformers movie coming out in a couple weeks. So I don't know if you've seen the trailer or have any interest in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I was talking about the fact that they kind of spoiled the fact that Unicron's going to be in the movie, and
Right.
I wish they hadn't. Like, I wish that they had just kind of let it be and let that be the thing. Like when you get to the theaters and just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Well,
and I almost wonder if they were like, we're gonna pull in this nostalgic the people they lost. Which I mean, so for me as a Transformer fan, I just love seeing, even though the movies have not been 100%. I mean, it's been, Explosion City. That's what they were for. But I mean, seeing
Michael Bay specials.
Right. But seeing Optimus like
live
and then the voice, and I mean, it was just like, okay, like I'm happy. Like,
right.
Yep.
Now I will say I haven't seen that latest one, the one when what was the big bad in that one? The Dark of the Moon, or what?
So Dark of the Moon. Okay,
third.
Yeah, that's the third one. That's the one you saw.
That's the one I saw.
So,
that's the last one I saw.
Yeah, that's funny.
I saw like a piece of it, and I was just like, I don't know if this is really something I'm going to care about. What Wahlberg's in that one, right?
No, so that one's Age of Extinction. This is the one with Wahlberg.
That one.
Yeah, so Age of Extinction was the.
So then last.
Yeah,
last
so that was the one when they
5.
brought in the Dinobots, but like they're in there for like 2 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So they brought in the Dinobots for like 2 minutes.
See, you can't. I mean.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So again, they were in the film for about 2 minutes.
Yes.
You can check me on that one. They were not in the film very long.
Right.
So Age of Extinction, and then they had another one that was called The Last Night, and
okay.
Optimus is like the bad guy in that one. It's like somebody takes over him. I think it's like Quintessons or something like that. But it's really weird, and it ends with like one of like the Unicron like horns like coming out of the earth, and so it teases that like. Unicron's like already there, if I'm remembering this correctly.
Like the Earth is Unicron?
Yeah. So I don't know. Like it's just really weird.
Yeah.
And then they reset it with like Bumblebee, and they did Bumblebee, and Bumblebee was actually okay.
Was good.
Yeah, like Bumblebee was strong. And now they're doing this as like a sequel to Bumblebee, and then kind of like
Bumblebee's
prequel to
in it,
them.
isn't he? I think I saw Bumblebee in it.
Yeah, he's in it. So it's
okay.
a sequel to it. So I just it should be interesting. So we'll see. But I'm excited. I am going to go see it, but I just wish that they
say bye, buddy.
Bye.
Okay,
bye.
Cole's leaving. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Cole. It's nice to meet you.
Exit stage right.
There you go. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think it'll be a good movie.
Yeah.
Ooh, a bigger.
Yeah, more Rayline.
Yeah.
More Rayline. Corey,
3 in a row.
Our editor prefers it this way, so that he can tweak it.
It looks good. I would say I have a lot of crap behind me in the picture, so I'm glad that this is here.
Right? That's why I'm just let's tweak this a little bit. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, good to go. All right. Well, hey, man, welcome. We appreciate you coming and chatting with us today. We're excited to talk about InfinityCon and all the awesome things that are going to happen. So, boom, InfinityCon, July 8th and 9th at Donald Tucker Civic Center. In Tallahassee, Florida. If you are even remotely in the area for the weekend, come check it out. There's going to be lots of awesome things. And we're going to chat about some of that today. We're just going to chat with David just about, his journey and kind of how he got here and, all the fun things. And then we might even get back to bashing like the marketing of
Michael Bay.
We might get back to that in a minute. We're going to see how that plays out. So I'll ask you the same question that we pretty much ask everybody to kind of kick it off is, kind of what – how's your journey start in terms of getting into, so you're owner promoter of InfinityCon. That was actually going to be one of the questions. Is like, what's your title when it comes to it? But how did that journey kind of start for you?
So I mean, I've always been into this kind of stuff. A longer story, less long. So I was a musician for a long time. Was in a band, and I worked with an event up in Nashville called The Objective. And it was basically like 500 musicians got together, and it was kind of like, what do you do music for? And it was more of like, as a Christian, like, why do you do music? Like, is it because you just want to be a rock star? Like, is it for Jesus? That kind of thing. And I started helping out volunteering with the event on the back end, and years kind of got into, I mean, to be totally transparent, I got into it at first because I was like, oh, I know the people. We were on the tour back in the day, and I was like, oh, I was doing solo stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get on stage. Like, they're going to get me in there, you know?
Sure.
And they put me to work, which was cool. I'm glad it happened now. And so they kind of got me going the first year I was helping. And before it was all said and done, I was basically like the second in command, like kind of putting everything together and running that, like learning to do event stuff. And I really enjoyed it. So it was like over like 4 different venues, you know, throughout the city. And it was a really interesting kind of put together thing. And it was all more like grassroots kind of stuff. So it wasn't like, you know, there was no huge budget. There was no kind of thing. It was like, what can you do? And so kind of fast forward, one of the guys that was in the band that I was in had from Lake City had started like working on stuff with a podcast in Lake City area, and they were wanting to do like this nerd meet and greet kind of meetup thing, and they were like, well, why don't we just make it to a convention? And I had started working on some like concept albums, and that turned into like a full blown, like I was working on novels, and it was like this robot future, like nanotechnology concept. And it kind of ventured into doing comic books. So I was going to like MegaCon. I had a table a few years and doing that kind of stuff. And, you know, met Martin Piero. That was the first time I met up with him on a panel. And he's like, don't do comics. It's a bad idea. You know, it's dumb. Don't do it.
That's how he keeps his competition down.
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm going to increase my sales by getting everybody else out.
Don't do it. It's not a good idea. But no, he was just so brutally honest, like on his panel. And I was like, oh, this is great. Because everybody in the audience was like, oh man, how do I make comics and make money? And he's like, make money. If you want to make money, don't do it. Yep, you know, Martin, that was it. And so like I had been having Ray Hancock, the guy that was helping me out with my writing and stuff, kind of giving me feedback and working with me. He had asked me, because of my background with doing events, he's like, hey, would you help? I think we want to make it like a mini convention in Lake City. And I was like, man, it's a lot of work. Like, don't do it. It's too much. You know, I was focused on my writing. I was like, just don't do it. Yeah. And they went ahead and moved forward, him and the guys from the podcast. And I think they went on a little bit of hiatus during COVID, but it's the Nerds Who Get Laid Sometimes. I don't know if you've heard of those guys out of Lake City. I don't think so. But they do nerd podcasts, and great guys, great. It's a fun kind of nerd podcast. But they decided they were going to move forward. And long story short, he needed some help, and it ended up kind of towards the end. He was like, "Hey, can you please help?" And I just kind of jumped in and helped, and it ended up being something that I just felt really like I was supposed to be a part of and supposed to help do. And you know, kind of fast forward, it's kind of just something I've taken on, and it's become my deal. So, yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you started with the Lake City show, and then eventually 2014 was the first one in Lake City.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm trying to think. We went to Nick. Which one did we go to? I don't remember.
So Tampa was our very first one.
No, which which Lake City show? Was that 2020? Was that right before COVID?
I think so.
Yeah. You guys
was that the one? Was that the one in the Armory?
Yeah, we did the Armory one. So the Armory one
was like, that was in the 20.
Yeah, it was 2020. I think it was right before COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember doing that one, and it was a very interesting show because I think for us that was only like our fourth show, third or fourth show.
Wow.
That we had done, and we had at the time, I think we had like the first 3 issues of Project Titans, and we had 1 issue of Atlas Rising. I remember we were right up front where everybody would walk in, and I loved it because
we were the third table from the door.
Yeah. I just enjoyed talking to everybody, so it was cool. And it was really interesting about the show was because it's a smaller setup in Lake City, but at the same time, like it was just getting really consistent traffic. Like it was just like you were getting a lot of new faces coming in all the time.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting, and there was some great cosplay. And I just remember, like, again, you had a bunch of like different things set up and like outside activities. And it was really crazy because, like, you know, I don't actually get out from behind my table a whole bunch and go out and do things. But I found myself kind of just going around and trying to figure out exactly like where everything was and how it was all set up. And I just remember like joking around that I was like, you figured out how to fit like a 6-bedroom like house into a like 1-bedroom apartment. Like you were the guy that like figured out how to get all of it in there.
Yeah.
And that was the best way I could describe that show. And it was a great show. We had a lot of fun and kicked butt at it.
Awesome.
But it was crazy because like the way you kind of finagled everything, and it didn't feel small. Like it's a very small venue, but like it didn't feel that way at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, literally, I cleaned out. There's a utility closet that's like 15 by 15 that I literally clear out for that show, and we use it as like an extra space.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's. I did everything I could because I've gone through several different venues, kept trying to create venues in Lake City. Like I added a tent. 1 year I was going to do this whole mobile thing in the middle of town and this dome thing. And it was a nightmare. But yeah, the venue that we have there that works is that one. And like I said, I just kind of fit things in and do the most I can with the space I have.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, the year we were there for that one, again, absolutely amazing job. Like kudos, that was absolutely fantastic. We've gone to shows since then where I've literally said, "Man, they should call the guy from Infinity Con." Like I don't think I knew your name at the time. I said, they should call
yeah.
Like just from a spacing point, I was just like, "Wow, it's nuts." So after, kind of you're doing Lake City, what brought you, towards Tallahassee? What kind of made, because, I know you guys started Tallahassee. It was a 1-day show.
Right.
So I want to hear, like, what kind of brought you to that?
Yeah. So so Ray and I would always come over to Tallahassee. We'd hit Jacksonville, we'd hit Tallahassee to promote Lake City show.
Yeah.
And I'd say probably 2 or 3 or 4 years in a row, every time we'd come to Tallahassee, we'd go to Fallout, we'd go to all the game stores. And when we were there, the first thing they'd say is, "Oh, is this here?" Yeah. And we're like, at the time there was a show there. And we're like, no, you guys have a show. And they were like, "Do we?" And I was like, "Yeah, it just happened." And they're like, "Oh, that's the show that comes in and, ask us for a $700 10 by 10 booth like the week before the show." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, that's not us. Like, but that's your show. Like, that's it."
Yeah. I think Nick confirmed that a couple of weeks ago when he was here for Fallout. So I believe he mentioned that.
Right. Yeah. And and we kept saying, hey, like, we didn't need another show, and we were kind of like trying to figure out how to make Lake City work with the space we had and grow it still, which was becoming harder and harder. And I think it was the end of 2017. I was tired of fighting with venues. We'd gone to the Armory, and or we were going to go to the Armory, and I reached out to the Civic Center in Tallahassee, and I was like, let me just see if it's even an option. Yeah. And it was very expensive, but there's things they added, and there's things that they kind of put in there that in Lake City, we're putting up all the banners. We're having to supply all the stuff, except they have tables and chairs, but pipe and drape I have to rent. Well, all that is included, at least for us, with the Civic Center. And so as we started getting into some of the stuff, I was like, I've got 30,000 square feet. I have like 7,000 in Lake City. Like, I was like, let's try this out. So that's kind of how 2019 happened. And I'd also seen in 2016, I tried to do the guest model, and I know we'll talk more about this in the show.
Yeah.
But I had Edward James Olmos. I'm a big Reimagined BSG fan, so I was like, Edward James Olmos. Now I can't think of the other people. Several of the different ones of the cast, but I mean, I love EJO, so I was like, but we brought all these people in, and that's when I tried to do this dome tent. And we had a decent crowd, but I realized that most people were coming, like that whole area where all the guests was like ghost town. We brought in the $1 Million Man that year. Nobody cared. Yeah. And I'm like, and he was like on the end. I'm like, it's Lake City, Florida, like wrestler. That's going to be our guy. He couldn't give his books away. Like, dropped them by half, dropped them. And the last day, he was like trying to give them away for like $10 a piece, and just nobody would buy. But right across from them, I brought in Lemmy the Lugga Beast, and the 501st had this huge setup, and that was packed all weekend long. Yeah. And I was like, I've got all this stuff, and the 501st just does this to be here,
Right. Yeah.
And so as we kind of like thought through that some, and I was like, I think what could work in Tallahassee is if I just picked this up and dropped it there and just brought a really great family-friendly, like kind of all encompassed event, but I could do more of it. I could bring in more 501st. I could bring in more, cosplay guests and gaming and anime and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of what happened. I talked to the Civic Center. They were very excited about an event coming in and kind of becoming that kind of summer staple. And I also chose that just because I wasn't fighting with school stuff. I, could hopefully become a thing in the summer where this is the thing you do in North Florida. You come to Tallahassee for Infinity Con in the summer. And so that's kind of how it did the first year. And I mean, people really supported it. I mean, all of Tallahassee, I mean, you guys were there.
We were there.
Yeah. I mean, it really was a hugely supported thing, and just kind of kept meeting people as we went through, Christopher Burdett, Mark Maddox, these local people, you guys, that just, had wanted something like this to really feed that kind of nerdy art kind of skate that wasn't getting fed. And so, that's how Tallahassee kind of was born. So
I love it. I'll say this, and I'll let Nick talk, so I know he's got something. So we attended that first show, and I think we heard about the first show like maybe just a couple days before. And we
I saw Facebook. I think I saw Facebook.
Yeah. So we attended as just walking around, and we'd heard about it a couple days before. And we had a buddy that was in town. I think they had like come in town from a hurricane or something. Like I don't remember and so we ended up just going around and wandering around the show, and just again, I absolutely loved it. It was great, and it was right before like we had printed our books. Like so, I was waiting on the printer on my books, and I just remember thinking like I want to be here next year. Yeah, and I wanted to be here, and I remember, we applied for the Lake City and we applied for Tallahassee, and we got them both. And then COVID happened, and it shut down Tallahassee the following year. Right. And I just remember, like, man, that was such a bummer. And but yeah, I just remember like us walking around the show. And again, Martin is Cosmic Times. I remember seeing their booth, and I love this whole setup. I loved his books. He cracks me up. Let him joke around about not making money, but he's been doing it way too long to actually have not made any money. Yeah. So again, he's trying to get rid of his competition. Remind me, I could be wrong. I think this is it, but they had the live action people who were like doing the LARPing and the fighting, right? Like it was the battles, and I think those were happening like the back right. And I remember like a couple times just being like, "What is happening over there?" And then like we would wander off.
All of a sudden you hear this bang.
Yeah.
Wow. Hitting the shields and
and you run over there, and then like for like half a second you're like, what is happening?
Is there a fight?
It's like okay, cool. But yeah, it was an absolutely awesome show. So again, freaking loved it.
Awesome.
Nick, I know you have something. So
so what goes into like acquiring a guest? Do they reach out to you, or do you contact them and say, hey, I got this going on, can you available there? Or
It just depends. Like, I mean, if it's somebody I'm interested in, I mean, usually I'm looking more for like artist guests or like guests that are doing some sort of activity. So it's more like a performance guest, something like that. So if there's somebody like that, then I'm reaching out to them. I do have a lot of like managers and, managers that will reach out that just like kind of go out and they're just a huge fan of XYZ. And they're like, hey, can I book you for this date? And the person's like, if you make me money, sure. And yeah, so there's some of that. So I'm getting, emails all the time. I mean, promoters just get a ton of that stuff. I was the fifth to the right Walking Dead zombie that wasn't really in this scene, but they cut me, but I was in there,
here's my picture proof that I was there.
Yeah. Give me a hotel and $500. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, I'm not doing it. Power Rangers. Oh man.
Oh, Has there been anybody that you've wanted to get but haven't been able to make connection with yet?
There's a few, like I'd say artist wise. I would love to get. I just saw something by him. I was gonna be more prepared today.
You just roll with us, bro. It's good. Don't worry about it.
I know, right? Thor artist. Him and his wife are both.
You'll remember it as soon as we start talking about something else.
I know.
It'll come to you.
Walt Simonson and Louise Simonson.
Mm-hmm.
I've wanted to have them, and they're a little older, and they're up in the Northeast, and they've just not, especially since COVID, they haven't been like kind of as interested in coming just that far. But there's some of the ones that I've kind of wanted. But as far as guests go, if you're talking like major guests, it's usually like a guarantee. So for instance, I brought in a few voice actors last year. Voice actors, usually it's like I have to take care of travel. And then there's like a guarantee type thing. So it's, that person has $1,000 guarantee. So they have to make that doing signing and selling stuff at the show. And if they don't, I have to pay whatever they don't make. And then I have to take care of hotel and travel from the airport, all that stuff. So, I do want to add this year. Some of the people that I wanted to bring in just kind of fell through. It didn't happen this year, but I would like to add some more like voice acting guests in the future. Even thought about, and this would be future for anybody listening that wants guests, but like Critical Role people. I think it'd be fun to have some of the Critical Role cast because we do have so many gamers. Stuff like that.
Their YouTube stuff is cool. I've seen a couple of things there.
Right. So those are the kind of things I've thought about. But future-wise, and at some point, if God keeps me doing this and I don't die, I am a stupid huge Bruce Campbell fan. And I mean, I would probably have to sell my son that you saw earlier to make it happen. But like I would love to see Bruce Campbell at my show. Like if I had to bring a guest, that would be one of them.
I could dig Bruce Campbell. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I got to see him live in Orlando for like a signing of one of his books, and man, he's just a trip. He's just hilarious.
I'm trying to think who's the guy we saw. We saw somebody in Tampa. Oh, Michael Roker.
Yeah.
We saw him in Tampa.
He's fun.
And
we went to his panel.
Yeah, so they were going out for the panel, and the guy was out there to interview him, and like he did like one question, and Roker was like, "Hey, you don't do this very often, do you?" And he was just like, "No," and Roker was like, "I do. Let's have some fun." And he just took the mic, and he was going through the crowd, like, "Hey, what do you want to ask? What do you want to ask? Hey, nice to meet you." And I mean, he met like half the crowd.
Right.
I'm not going to talk or judge his state of mind for that moment or what was going on, but he had a lot of energy.
I've seen him walking over seats out in the crowds.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Nuts, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it was by far one of the coolest panels that I've ever seen in person, and I think we did. Who was the other guy? Oh, Ezekiel. Corey Payton, yeah.
Oh,
There was
He a lot of fun too.
there was a girl that was dressed as Negan, and she was like talking trash to him, and so he had her come sit up like by him at the panel.
Wow.
And just made it like, again, he was like bantering
For like
with her
30
the whole
minutes.
time.
She was there for like 30 minutes.
It was
halfway
so funny though.
That's awesome.
But that's the type of things that, again, I don't know. I always love cons, and again, anything you can do on them, because you make them such unique and special experiences.
Right.
And with y'all, so you mentioned having the voice actors last year. Yeah. I remember at some point Sunday, like actually getting out and kind of wandering around and stopping and talking to the voice actors. And they were all like super nice. Not nothing bad against any of them in any way. And I just remember I was chatting with them a little bit. And at some point though, I was like, hey, we do a podcast, like, is there any chance? And we had been filming there and interviewing some of the guests, and we're just like, dude, you want, any chance you want to say anything? Come on. And they're like, well, you'd have to talk to our agent. And I was like, I mean, just for like a 5-second, like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, yeah, like we can't do anything without you talking to our agent. And I was like,
yeah,
oh okay, cool. It was nice
to
talk to you. But I remember like just saying like, yeah, we'll film like something promoting the show, and they were just like, yeah, no, you got to talk to our agent. And it wasn't even in like a nice way. It was very much like all right, bro, you've been standing here too long. Like, get the. And I'm just like, all right, cool. Well, you just ruined 4 characters of Dragon Ball Z for me.
Yeah. And I love all them, and I'm sorry you had that experience.
No.
But
good.
Yeah. It and that's the other thing that kind of, besides the fact that this is just my soapbox, that I feel like that guest bubble is kind of burst unless you're Deep Pockets, MegaCon, or something like that, SuperCon. Like I just kind of think that day is dawning of like being able to bring those people in for smaller events. But also like so for instance with InfinityCon, like every year we do our surveys, and we'll get 100, 200, 250 surveys back. And one of the biggest things I see is that we have out of those maybe 2 people that are like, man, it was okay, but there's no guests.
Right.
Everybody else is like, oh, you had the Maid Cafe, you had so many great vendors, you had great artists, like, the 501st setup was awesome. Those are all the things I hear.
Right.
And for me, it's just been at a point where those voices really aren't large enough for me to spend the money and the resources to bring guests in,
Yeah. But you can't please everybody. Those type of
sure.
Ones that are they're the ones looking for, your like Val Kilmer's and like the big stars like that. So
Well, Pentacon. Sorry.
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say, and Pentacon, I've heard great things about it. I haven't been able to go. I know Mike, the owner. He's been to our show with his show he does. He does like a horror type, kind of retro horror type show that's on PBS channel in Tallahassee. Yeah. And he does a great job out there, I've heard, and great guests, that kind of thing. So I'd encourage people, if they want to do guests, go out there, because he's great at it.
Yeah.
But sorry, that's what I was gonna say.
No, all good. I just we've been to shows where, again, like it's lit up with guests.
Yeah.
And if you're there for that, first off, you've got the guys that are coming in and getting like 73 autographs to immediately go sell on eBay.
Right.
Not a great business, guys. Like, please don't stop. Like, you're ruining it for everybody. And then on top of that, like, again, they spend, it's like going to Disney. You spend half your time in the line to get one autograph, and and don't get me wrong, to have a good, usually a pretty decent interaction. Like we got autographs at a show in Orlando from like Ashley Eckstein, who does the voice of Ahsoka Tano, and she's super sweet. Talked to her for probably way longer than we should have, holding up the line, but it was all good. It was whatever. It's cool. And again, go ahead.
What's her name? That does Ahsoka Tano's voice.
Ashley?
Yeah, Ashley Eckstein. Yeah.
So she was super cool. And I think those experiences are cool, but at the same time, like, I mean, again, I'd rather be out and about and have majority of the content be like actually in the show and the experiences. And again, like, one of the things you've done at your show that I always love too is the gaming stuff. Like the gaming stuff is always super cool. And when you've had it before where they've been on the the big jumbotron, like playing the game, like that's just absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm not even into Smash Brothers, and like one time again, I think I stood there for 10 minutes. Poor Nick, I just laughed. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go wander around, and then I think I came back whenever I came back, but I was just sitting there watching Smash. It was like a 7-foot Pikachu like fighting, like it was crazy, man. So
yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah. So what? Kind of, I guess, kind of getting into this year's show. What are some of the things that you're really hyped about? What are the things that people can really look forward to?
Yeah, so definitely, upping the Maid Cafe, which is always something people are super into. That line never stops, and usually it's backed up. So we're adding a little bit more room to the Maid Cafe this year. They're adding some more VIP type perks this year that give you kind of a bundle of.
Now, do they actually serve food at Maid Cafe? Like, what is it?
So usually it's like they'll serve like some little cakes and like some tea, like lemonade and tea and stuff,
Pastries
whatever we
and
can
stuff.
do. Yeah.
So I'm not getting a burger there, was what
No.
Okay.
You'll have to go to the actual cafe for that.
All right.
But and it's usually like they're in the maid uniforms. It's kind of the anime, like kind of cute anime kind of thing. Then they have like a small stage where they'll do like some kind of performance for them while they're serving. The butlers usually will go out and kind of do that while the maids are performing and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just kind of a neat little like fun, Again, when I first heard about it, I was like, so what is this Maid Cafe? This is, because they send me pictures of like maids and this, and I'm like, is this family friendly? And they're like, oh yeah, this is totally like, totally cool, cute. Like,
the same thing was going through my head though. I'm just like, right. We did a show in New Orleans one time that completely threw me off in terms of what they allow at cons. Like,
right.
When the strip club had a table, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And some cons are just, that's more their thing. It's more adult oriented, which hey, that's them.
Sure.
Definitely we will be always more family friendly. So,
yes.
And so the Maid Cafe, I love working with the Heartstrings Cafe. They're great, a great group. They're based in Tallahassee. And they, they're on fire the whole weekend, just always doing stuff. We'll of course have the 501st. I think we'll have
those guys.
Yeah. Oh, they're awesome.
The
Mandalorians and Rebels. We'll have those. Pika Belichu, that always does the big Pikachu stuff. Yeah. She's going to bring the Pika Bug this year as well and do
nice,
like a whole Detective Pikachu setup that we'll be announcing soon. So
yeah, we wish her the best. She's recovering from surgery right now.
Right.
Feel better.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I chatted with her yesterday and just kind of checked in on her, saw how she was doing, and glad to hear she's doing much better. So, and then this year bringing in more arcades. So working Flipping Great Pinball. They're going to bring in 10 pinball and arcade machines in the arena this year.
Todd, if I disappear for 10 minutes, that's where I'm at.
Look, somebody brings in the Ninja Turtles game. Like, just I need 3 partners and let's go.
Just put it back in 15 minutes on our table.
Right.
Currently fighting Shredder.
Right. Back in 15 minutes. That sign's been here for like 3 hours. What's going on?
It's fine. It's fine.
Todd and Nick ran out of quarters. It's going down.
Play again. It's all free play, so you're good to go.
Oh, God.
Well, don't tell me that.
It's even
I know,
worse.
right? No, just bring all the quarters. Bringing in them. Speaking of Ninja Turtles, we have Todd, and I'm going to say this, and I always mess with his last name, and I love this guy. He's become a buddy of mine. He's the writer for the first 2 Ninja Turtle movies.
Yep.
I'm stoked about that.
Yeah, he's a great dude, and he gives everyone, guys, anybody listening, re-listening, like he gives everything away for free. He prints out script copies, signs them, gives them away. He's given away like stickers and merch and different things, and like he just loves meeting his fans, and just loves to come to the show and talk about what he does. He'll be doing a panel at the show as well. So yeah, no, he's just a great guy. Langdon.
Yeah, I was looking it up just in case.
Yeah,
Todd Langen. Yeah. So we very, very briefly. He was at the Tampa Bay Comic-Con last year.
Yeah.
And he was there, and I didn't know he was only there for the Saturday. And this absolutely broke my heart because he had a line, and I'm talking the entire time. And that was a really busy show, so I couldn't be away from my table very long. But like, I wanted to go talk to him. I was just like, yeah, man, I want to go like chat with this guy. Like, it's really cool. And he had a line the entire time. And I remember leaving that day, and it had been a long day. It was a great sales day, but I mean, I was like Saturday, I was ready to just be gone. And he still had a line. Like, he was still 20 deep when the show had closed. And I just remember thinking, I was like, no, I'm going to come in early tomorrow, Sunday morning. Sunday's always dead, like, to begin with, and then I'm just going to go talk to him and go say hi. And I show up Sunday morning, and, like, I'm walking by his table, like, 2 or 3 times, like, all right, man, when's he going to show up? Like, the show's about to start in 10 minutes. That's kind of rude. Like, you need to get here. And, he was only there for the Saturday. So I was like, oh, man, that was sad. But I got really excited when I saw that you posted that he was going to be there because, again, kind of like you said, I mean, he was giving out everything for free. Now, don't get me wrong. That's fantastic. I feel bad for whoever's next to him. Don't put me next to him. Because whoever's next to him is not going to sell anything, okay? Yeah. So just a heads up, like put an empty space or something. They're not going to do well. But yeah, he gives away everything. He chats. He does absolutely amazing job. I'm excited. So I will at least – so between playing Ninja Turtles and talking to the guy who wrote Ninja Turtles – there will at least be a solid 30 minutes. I won't
be good to go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. I know right where they are too. I'm gonna have to break out I have the VHSs, the original ones.
Oh,
so I may have to break them out and
have them sign them
and have them sign them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a crazy story. Like, so he told me about that one in Tampa. He said that he told them like, hey, like, by the way, like I have crazy lines. Like, I'm giving stuff away and people just flock to it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay. And they put him in a spot and he's like, I don't know if this is going to work. And just like, they had to move him, I think that day, because he kept blocking like a row of vendors.
He was backing the whole thing up, man. It was nuts.
Yeah. And he's just, I mean, super excited about doing shows and doing events. Like constantly just trying to see how he can be involved and do more things. He's just a really cool guy. So I think it'll be a fun, his whole story about like doing the Ninja Turtle movie. He basically got, they greenlit the movie, but it was like, whatever the term is for a full rewrite. It was basically like the script is unusable. So somebody needs to like do a full rewrite on it. He was that guy. And so he basically came in, redid the whole script, and that's what you pretty much see as the first Ninja Turtle movie.
Well, God bless him.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna walk up and say thank you, sir. And that's gonna be it because he made one of my favorite. Yeah, he wrote one of my favorite movies of all time. So I have a Ninja Turtles tattoo. So I just again big fan. So yeah, he's just gonna get a hearty handshake and a big thank you. And he might get lunch on me. We'll see what happens.
There you go.
Like might just show up with a burger and be like, here, man. I owe you way more than this. Yeah. Like,
here's this for everything.
Your meals are on me today, my friend. Like, whatever you want from the concessions.
I mean, I'll take you up on that now because I'm taking care of his meals. So, I mean, so please take care of his meals. He didn't even ask for that, by the way. I offered to do that for him because I love the guy and he doesn't really want much. So I wanted to make sure he was taken care of. And he doesn't usually get to eat because he's just signing all day long.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
I'll just go be his assistant for the day. Like I'll let Nick.
Nick is just running the booth.
Nick will sell comics. I'm gonna just go be his assistant for the day.
But here, if you want the artist to sign this book, go over to the
go wait in the
He's over
Ninja
there.
Turtle
Go in
line.
the
Yeah,
He's over there.
He's
Didn't
just
we
go
already-
there too.
Just go hang out with the Todds. Yeah, like it'll be all right. Yeah.
Didn't you talk about last time that Nick was just going to take over for you at the show?
Yeah.
Anyway?
Oh
Was
yeah,
that- I mean,
yeah. Well, what we're joking around about doing on Sunday is we're gonna get a group of us. So like us and Nick from Fallout and maybe Hoyt. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take turns working each other's tables, and we're just gonna kind of rotate and see who can like actually outsell the others working different tables.
Nice.
So I think whoever works Fallout though is going to have an advantage because they just have way more stuff to sell.
They do.
But like, yeah, I think we're going to do something on like Sunday afternoon just to kind of mess around and troll each other. But I think
awesome.
Daniel Hooker might get in on too. So we'll see how it goes. But we're gonna
Nice.
we're going to mess around and have fun with it.
Nice. No, that's great. When I heard you talking on that, I got to catch that other podcast with Nick, the other Nick,
Yeah.
from Fallout, and that was fun hearing you guys talk about that. I think that'll be a good time.
Yeah. I'm gonna wreck everybody. So just like going to destroy them. I'm gonna destroy them by making them a lot of money. That's how it's gonna happen. So
I'll show you.
I'm gonna make you money. Like, yeah.
And they're like, please.
Yeah.
Please.
I love it. Well, no, I'm excited. He's gonna be an awesome guest. And then so I mentioned we got Hoyt, right? So Hoyt's coming.
Yeah, Hoyt. Man,
So
I am just not prepared today. Hold on a second.
Hoyt Silva. So we got Hoyt.
Mark Maddox.
Mark. Okay. We got Martin
Chris,
Piero.
Yeah, Martin Piero.
Yeah, Cosmic Times.
Good buddy of mine. I love that guy.
Martin cracks me up. I did a show with him back in January, and we were down in South Florida. I don't even remember where at this point. Like they all kind of blend together sometimes. And so he was like right across from us. Like it was like a weirdly like laid out where like we were in like this back corner of nowhere, and like it's kind of like you walk in and it's kind of circular, so you can like walk back out. And Martin's like at an angle where we're just like looking at him like the whole time, like just Martin's who we see. And I was with at the time, I was with Scout Comics working with him, and Martin was over there with his, and we were just talking trash. But like every time, like we didn't have somebody at our table, Martin was just coming and like he was at our table, and like it was just like we're just messing with each other the whole time. But I mean, dude was hilarious. Like I mean, I spent more time laughing and just enjoying myself. Chatting and BSing with him than absolutely anything. And I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. He gave me, and I feel bad because I don't remember the title of the book, but I went to go buy one of his trades from him because it was a story that I actually saw the first time I was walking around Infinity Con, and I didn't buy it. And I wish I had bought it. And it was one of those things where you don't get the buyer's regret at a Comic-Con is the stuff you did not buy. It's not the stuff you did buy. You never get buyer's regret on that. It's the stuff you didn't pick up that you only have that one shot to grab. And one of Martin's book was one of those. And so last year when I saw him and I saw that book, it was the maintenance crew for Giant Robot Maintenance Crew.
Maintenance crew.
So I went and picked that up, and he wouldn't let me buy it. He said, no, just take it. I just want feedback. And I'm like, seriously, man, just let me buy it. Because again, as much as he jokes around about this, take it. He wouldn't do it. He's just like, no, go to read. And I went and I took it back, and I think I read it like while I was at the show. Like I think I just kind of read it in between talking with people, and it was absolutely amazing. So again, shout out to Martin and his team and just his books. I've read a handful of his different titles, and every one of them is absolutely quality from beginning to end. And he does a bunch of panels too, and so he does a ton of panels. Did a panel with him, and unfortunately, I don't remember the other guy's name. But did an absolute panel, and I mean Martin just again he's absolute money. So we'll just excited to get to work with him again.
Yeah. And if you're out there listening, buddy, love you, man. Like he also does so much for the show. I go help him with PalmCon. He also comes and he runs my vendors. So usually that's what you guys will see is Martin will come around and talk to you guys, and some of his family and stuff that helps out. So yeah, I mean he really does a lot, while trying to. Get his brand out there and kind of do stuff in the Tallahassee area. He's also really helping me like kind of keep the show together and one of my go-to guys. So great dude.
Love you, buddy. You're doing great.
Love
we
you,
appreciate you. Who else we
But
got?
yeah, so Martin. So I have Hoyt.
Wait, yeah.
Let's see.
He's
Todd.
look out.
This guy named Todd Kelly.
Yeah.
He's gonna be there.
That jerk. that jerk. He thinks he sells better than everybody else. He knows nothing.
We're gonna see on Sunday apparently.
Yeah.
Christopher Burdett. Christopher Burdett's Monsters. If anybody out there doesn't know Chris and what he does, you know Christopher Burdett, right?
It sounds familiar, but I'm drawing a blank on the face.
So he's Tallahassee. So Tallahassee guy. So he kind of, I guess, got his monster start. What people kind of go back to is he was a effects artist on Buffy back in the day in LA. Yeah. Wow. So he was one of the effects guys doing and he's got a bunch of his. If you look at Christopher Burdett's Monsters.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Realized the industry was not for him. Sure. He's got plenty of stories about that. We usually have him talk about that on a panel. Got out of all that stuff, decided the fumes and the dealing with actors and directors, all that wasn't for him. So he started working on more 2D stuff and actually has a pretty big following doing art for Magic the Gathering. Okay. Wow. So some of the cards and the things you see in that art, he's the one that's done so many of those cards. And then has done a bunch of Star Wars cards, some pretty detailed Star Wars cards, things like that. And then he's been working on several larger of his own kind of IP stuff for the last few years. And has really, really kind of been boosting that. This thing called the Grand Bazaar. And man, it's super detailed, super well done. But yeah, he'll be at the show. He's kind of a big deal that lives in Tallahassee, and one of the people that I've just as I'm there, I'm like, why don't people know this guy's here? He's awesome.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Mark Maddox. Do you know Mark?
Yeah, I met Mark at a few shows. Really cool. I mean, just super. Yeah. I don't even have a better way to describe it. He's just really cool.
Yeah. And all his stuff is, retro horror, covers and Vincent Price stuff and, kind of those kind of things. And he does it for these remakes of DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever, digital now. But he does all these art kind of covers and things for them, and then does his own work. And I mean, it's beautiful, beautiful work. So he'll be at the show. Again, another Tallahassee guy. Kevin Laporte and Amanda Rachels from they were Inverse. Now they are Flatline Comics.
Oh yeah. Okay. I've met him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But they're both. There's a few others. There's some writers and some other people that are with them. But those are the two staples I always work with. And they'll be there. They have more horror-esque kind of stuff that they bring in. A lot of clown, some good clown horror.
Yeah, they did a Kickstarter recently. I don't remember what it was for, but they did one.
Yeah, and they do quite a few. They've really done some successful Kickstarter stuff. So
there's some that really run a strong business just with Kickstarter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they do well. And then Naomi Franquise, from you know Naomi? She's Tallahassee. She's Tallahassee. So Naomi has done a lot of stuff. I think she's done some things for Scout, but worked. Again, my mind's drawing a blank, but she's done some larger stuff. She's working. There's some larger indie stuff that she's been working on that's gotten some notoriety.
Sweet.
As of late. So again, another Tallahassee local.
I'm gonna find me a cover artist. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna find me a cover artist. That's fine. I like it. I'm excited. This is one of my favorite things about cons, though. Is just networking. There's all these great people, and again, half of these, I'm like, man, I live in Tallahassee. Obviously, I work in South Georgia, so I'm gonna blame that. But there's a lot of cool people in the area to meet, and network with. So no, I'm
Right.
excited. Again, I might be one of those situations where I spend half a Saturday networking, and Nick has to remind me that we're here to sell.
Right. Hey man, come sell stuff.
Yeah.
And kind of on that note, while I'm thinking about it, one of the things I love and want to be able, which I just couldn't really do in Lake City, because there were some great artists in Lake City, but I mean, they're kind of some local people,
Sure.
and they would have like vendor tables and stuff, and it was great. But Tallahassee has just some kind of like people you didn't know that lived there, and I keep running into more people that I'm like, oh, you have like your own comic book series, or like you've done stuff with like Marvel and DC, or there's all these things that I keep just kind of Scout, you're doing things with Scout, like there's stuff like that like I keep running into, and one of the things I want to be able to do is connect these people and say, why don't you guys know each other? Like, how can we get you guys together and make it something to where, hey, you're around, you guys can work together. Maybe you have a round table every once in a while. You guys get together and just like bounce ideas off each other, and But so I think there's a lot of things that I want to see through InfinityCon. Like, hopefully that kind of brings that out, because I'm constantly talking to locals, and they're like you said, like, I don't know Naomi, like, and like she's done some pretty legit stuff,
It's funny you bring that up, because it was actually at InfinityCon last year that we met Derek Fisher, and he was there with one of the other cons, and I had never met him. I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what he had worked on, but he did the inking for a bunch of like Marvel and DC stuff, and he did like the Batman. He did the inking for like the Batman Daredevil crossover, and we ended up like becoming buddies with him, and he's since moved, but he was in the Tallahassee area.
Yeah.
And he actually went and did what did we do? We did the Grey Ghost anniversary. Yeah, we did the Grey Ghost Comics anniversary thing. And he came up there, and he was selling like the original pages, like the huge pages that he had done. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it was absolutely nuts. Like, and he was selling it for like $75. And I'm like, dude, like, are you like stop, like, keep that, like, don't do that. He's like, I have hundreds of these. I'm like, just still stop, bro. Like,
or sell it for more than 75.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, yeah, like no, but like, yeah, he was like the original ink pages he was selling. I think Scott from Grey Ghost bought a couple of them. But again, like, we met him at InfinityCon, and it was awesome. Just I don't even remember. I think Jason introduced this, but it was it was super cool. Like, it's fun. So what you're trying to accomplish is already happening. So great job.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to meeting some more cool people at the show.
Michael Shelfer's another one. I'm just going through guests as I see them, but he's actually the artist for Dune right now, the Dune comic.
Okay.
So he is the artist. He's worked on some Domino stuff for Marvel.
He's been there before, right? Has he been there? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
He was there 2 years ago.
I feel like I met him. So
yeah. But yeah, great guy, great artist. He's actually doing one of our VIP prints. Probably will be Star Wars based, as well as Mark Maddox. So
that's cool. So the Ahsoka one from like 2 years ago is still hanging. That wasn't okay. Yeah. So
Michael Shelfer.
So the Ahsoka one's still hanging on my wall. Like, as you did me a solid and got me one.
Yeah.
You got me one. Mm-hmm. And I ended up giving it. It was like my my fee to get back in the house. After taking the weekend, so I had to have something cool for my wife. Hi Sam, I love you. But yeah, but it's still hanging on my wall. So yeah, I love the VIP. Artwork, but that's the one. So cool.
Because I got you the lanyard too, didn't I? Because it had her on it.
Yeah, I got the lanyard. You got me the lanyard, and then you got me the print as well. And again, that was huge. That was clutch. Thank you. You did me.
No, you're welcome. Yeah, no, I remember that now. I was like, oh yeah. But no, that's cool. Yeah. Do you want me to keep going on that? Did you have another question?
I mean, it's up to you. No, I'm good. This is your time, so we're just here. So it's up to you. I want everybody to know exactly how awesome the show is going to be. So I'm excited. You mentioned some changing to the gaming this year. So the gaming tournament is going to be a little different. So I know the gaming is a huge part of it, and it's interesting to me because, again, it's never. I don't have the attention span, unfortunately. It is what it is. at this point, the games are almost like movies. I'd rather just watch the movie. Like, I don't need it to be on me of whether or not the protagonist wins. Like, it should not be based on my skills. Like, I just need him to win. All right, that's cool.
Right.
So again, gaming's not really my thing, but at the same time, like I watched a, I guess almost 7-year-old like talk trash and play Rocket League a couple months ago, and like I thought Rocket League was like the most interesting thing in the world. Like who got drunk and was like, we should play soccer with cars.
Yeah.
But so the game is gonna be a little different this year. What's that gonna look like?
Right. So the change up of the gaming, I was dedicating a pretty large space to that the last few years, and when we came back from COVID, we were the first major Smash event to happen in the U.S. Actually, maybe in like continental like North America kind of thing, since COVID happened.
Yeah.
So that year we had almost 500 players. So I mean, it was an insane like crazy thing. That. Yeah, we had people coming from. I heard there were people from Mexico that somehow flew in. But we definitely had a ton of New York, Chicago, New Jersey, like Texas, and they were just coming out to see their people. Like it had been a year and a half, 2 years since they'd seen their people, and they were like, everybody's going to this Tallahassee, like we're going to go to this. And so the first year I did it, it was great. We brought in this new community, which I loved all you Smash guys out there. Last year we brought it back again. And it was a little less, and the amount of space I'm dedicated, and just even financial resources, some of those things, it was just a lot, and just didn't really those people now have their own places open again. They have their big shows, and there's some big like gaming shows that are awesome, and they do their thing, and they do it much better than I do. So I kind of felt this year I wanted to pull back. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to, instead of having that large tournament this year, I'm going to open up that area to a lot more. I'm going to bring in, right now we have about 11 or 12 like pinball and arcade setups that are going to be in the arena. I'm going to add, I run a VR games option as well. So I'm going to have virtual reality 2 arenas going 5-6 players at a time. So up to 12 people. That'll be going in the arena.
I'm not gonna sell shit. You playing
Just gonna be stuck.
Bro, what games are gonna be so I can download it on mine and start practicing? Because
for what?
For the VR.
So VR, I do my own thing. So it's all like third party, like for like VR, basically VR arcades.
I'm gonna have to go chase Nick down.
Yeah. So everything. So Infinity VR Games is my other business. And I'm not going to do any of the escape rooms this year, VR wise. I don't plan on it at least. But I work with a company, VR Cave for the escape rooms, but I work with a company called Hero Zone for the games. And everything is free play or free roam. So you're actually in like a 20 by 20 space, moving around tetherless inside the space playing these games. So it's like I got a zombie game that's really awesome in there, zombie shooter. There's like there's a cookout game. There's one called Cookout they just did. You're basically like, it's like the cooked up or whatever like game that you have, but you're actually like doing that in VR. And then they have like one called Arrow Song that's like an arrow shooter kind of thing, like fantasy. You're trying to kill these like ogre kind of things. So there's several really cool kind of options on that. And so we'll have those going. What are you say?
I'm the guy that would get hurt doing that crap. Like I just, not for me. Like, cheers to everybody who
throws the controllers.
Yeah, cheers to everybody who can play that off, man. But like, I'm gonna take it like way too serious, way too quick. Like, it's just not like, not for me.
Dude, it's super crazy because the graphics they're lower. They're not like the super, like if you're talking about Nick playing some of the games you may download, if you're tethered, especially like what you can get with a super great computer and Steam, like, I mean, it's pretty insane graphics wise sometimes. The graphics in these, they're great. They're not bad. But it's a lot more cartoony graphics. But like even the zombie game, and it's all co-op, so you're playing together, defeating these zombies till you're rescued, basically. And so you got to defend and build back your barricades and all this kind of stuff. And but it's still so it gets in your head because it's VR, and they can be behind you. These little like clown zombies will like jump on your face and start like getting your head, and you have to have somebody else like shoot them off of you. It's pretty legit. Like
that being said, it makes me want to go watch Ready Player One. But yeah,
that's what it feels like.
Yeah,
When you're inside of one, that's what it feels like.
Yeah,
it's
nuts. It's cool. I want to see you play it, and we need to do a segment for the podcast of you playing it now.
We're gonna go live that weekend, and Todd in VR.
It will be like 30 seconds.
We'll share the screen and everything and watch it.
It'll be like 30 seconds, and the title will be "Grown Man Cries Playing Video Games." Like, man, you see me just running, like, call my mom. Like, yeah, it won't be good. So, yeah. But I mean, hey, you know what? I'll do it for entertainment purposes.
There you go.
But yeah, I can promise you, it's not going to be good. Like, in fact, at some point there will be kids like, "Mommy, why is that man crying?" Like, what?
Let's go to my happy place.
Get the zombies!
Balled up in a corner. There's an evil clown behind me. I can't get rid of him.
I know it's there.
Like, Todd, it's not real. You shut up. I see it. Like, won't be good. Like, accidentally like punch somebody. Like, yeah, no. It would,
right.
Yeah.
Stop hitting the controllers against the floor. It's not going to help.
Like, Todd, stop attacking Pikachu. It's going to be all right. Like, no,
right.
No.
Oh, man. But yeah, so we'll have that awesomeness going on in there. Cool. We'll have some other gaming. We will have like some sort of mini, kind of tournaments and things going on. Just not as large. So there will be some console gaming and different stuff happening in that area. Then we're also going to add. So last year we had the robot fighting upstairs.
Yeah.
So we're going to drop that into the middle of the arena this year.
Oh, nice.
Have that going on. They are also going to bring a mini arena that they're going to have for $5, I believe. Don't quote me on this. It may change. It may be a little more expensive. But for like $5 a person, they're going to have these like inexpensive robots that in like 3 different types that I think they 3D print them or something like that you can actually fight robots for like $5 or $6 a piece. And you can do that this year. So that, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So here.
So
first off,
Todd's
sounds
getting back
awesome.
his booth
now.
And he's
so that sounds awesome. Second, I don't know. Anytime I think about fighting robots now, like I want to go get like a Roomba with a remote control and just like put some things on it and like just go at it like
BattleBot style.
That's where I'm at right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be cool though. No, that's really cool.
Yeah, my buddy does this thing called Build Fight Fun, and they were the guys that were there last year, and they're doing this like knit, what they call knit or ant weight, and it's basically like 3, 5, and I think 8 pound robots in like an 8x8, 8 foot by 8 foot arena. And that's they'll be doing that the whole weekend. So there'll be people coming to compete. They'll be competing at the show. So that'll be happening, and then they'll have that side thing where they'll be just charging people a little bit just to cover the bots, just to let you play for 2 minutes in battle. So
that's cool.
I want to write a one-shot comic about like the little robot that could like at a Comic Con that like fought his way up, like.
Well, I mean, the giant robot warrior maintenance crew is basically like about the insides of this robot crew that runs the fighting robot.
I love it so much though, because like, it's like a work comedy as well, because they've got you got the idiots that are running the big robot that have no idea what the the middle and bottom are doing, and
right.
So yeah, I enjoy that. And again, that's a good one. Go check that one out.
Cosmic Times.
Shout out Cosmic Times. Go check that one out. That's yeah. I know. Just go read the book. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so the robot that sounds cool. I'm also like I just picture at some point like one of them like taking flight, like somebody like actually
bursting into flames. Don't tell the Civic
yeah.
Center if you're watching. That doesn't happen. I promise.
No, it would never. It would never. Yeah.
Doesn't happen at all.
No.
The on the robot note, Tally Robotics is going to be back. They were there with us in 2019.
Right.
They do like the Lego robotics stuff. And so they're going to be actually having it where people can work their robots. It's more like high school, middle school, like robot creation, STEM kind of projects.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'll be around. That's going to be really cool as well. So, and I believe I'm going to have them in there with that whole kind of in the arena as well.
That's gonna be legit. See, this is the challenge sometimes that you run into when you actually work the shows. Is like I want to actually go attend the show as a just somebody out walking around.
Right.
Just a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool, man. What? Yeah, go for it.
I'm looking at my list here.
Yeah.
So we have some guys doing a Warhammer and names of types of tabletop games that I'm not going to remember right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
But there's some guys. One guy's from Valdosta, one guy's from Tallahassee, and we're basically like, I mean, it sounds like several hundred people are going to come to play in this tournament. Like it's going to be a kind of a major tournament for Warhammer and this other game that I'm going to find for you. So people that want to go can go and join.
Sure.
So any questions while I'm looking for this?
Yeah. Well, no, it's always interesting to me though, in terms of, so you guys, you always do a really good kid space too, which I always thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of like, again, the games, like tabletop stuff, and again, the way that the con is really put together, it always just seems like there's a pretty, like, no matter what you're into, there's something for you. Like there's really cool stuff, and then you get to see some new stuff as well. The vendors are always really cool. The artists are really cool. The voice actors were cool. They were funny. They just cracked me up because they got super serious super quick. Oh, good. That's their business. That's what they do.
Sure.
No worries. But I mean, again, like just the artists and different people that you've had there have always been really cool. One of them did. Actually, it was the guy who did the Ahsoka print. He did a sketch for my wife as well.
Oh, nice.
Really cool. So again, like, I don't know, man, it's a cool show. Like a lot of people, I highly encourage anybody to come check it out. Obviously come by from us and then go check it.
Exactly.
But there's a lot of great people out there too. None of them as cool as us, but they try, and that's all right. We try them out. But no, I mean, again, just absolute cool show. So you mentioned earlier, though, and I want to circle back before. So we got about 15, 20 minutes before we'll wrap it. Okay. So you mentioned earlier about Power Rangers. So we were talking about it, with some of the guests and stuff like that. So what were you going to say about Power Rangers? Because I've heard funny stories. I have a couple myself. So like,
they're at least the off brand ones, like the ones that nobody really knows or cares about. Power Rangers Space Turbo 35, whatever.
Yes.
Those are the ones that like represent themselves and will just like, they're kind of a step up from the Walking Dead zombies. They're like, hey, I was on like one episode of Power Rangers Turbo Space, whatever. And can you fly me down from Canada to be on at your show? And it's only like a $2,000 guarantee. And I'm like, dude, like, no, like I'm not bringing you in. Like, you're not going to make me money.
You're out $5,000 before they even get here.
Right.
Airport.
Right. Yeah.
That's funny.
It's so funny. Yeah. Power Rangers are one of those ones that like, again, there's some great Power Ranger actors and guests out there, but again, I'm just not trying to bring guests to my show, but like the ones that reach out to me are usually like the off, the off kilter ones.
Yeah. That's funny. We've interacted with some of them. One of them was absolutely awesome. Did a great job. had a huge line. Was doing karate lessons. I mean, it was just it was great. Like, love their fans, fantastic.
That's cool.
Couple others ran into at that New Orleans show we did.
Not so much.
And my childhood was ruined quick.
Yeah.
So cool. 8-year-old me died a little bit that day.
Yeah. Don't be idols.
Yeah. They'll try to bum a smoke from you.
Right. And be super pissed when you don't have one.
Yeah. And, again, it was New Orleans, so it was a trip. But yeah. That's why I asked about the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Interesting. Again, everybody's different. Everybody's cool. We met Jason Font at Fallout Comics, and he was super nice.
Okay.
So he was great with his fans.
Oh, right.
Absolutely, fantastic guy. So everybody's cool. Everybody's different, and when you catch people, maybe they're just having a rough day. So it is what it is. Can't judge it too much, but still fun to talk about. So that being said, I want to ask this: who's been like one of your favorite guests so far? Who's been like just one of those people that like you just were like, holy crap, like just absolutely love this person. Maybe it was a surprise or just something that kind of stands out. But what's been one of your favorite guests? Other than us, who's been one of your favorite guests?
I know, right? I mean,
Yeah.
We set the bar high.
Right. I mean, I would say the year that when I was bringing in guests, that I brought in Edward James Olmos. Again, big Battlestar Galactica fan, reimagined.
Sure.
I like that was a pretty big deal for me, and like to where a little bit like was hard for me to meet him and say anything, and I'm the guy running the show.
Right.
And he was very nice, very very courteous, but he was, just very like he was working on something and wasn't like super talkative. But I was like kind of like, hey, nice to meet you. I love your work. Like I'm the guy running the show, and he was like, okay, like, but yeah, no, I mean, EJO was really cool to get to meet and kind of do that. I will say I feel I tend to rob myself of the joy of meeting people at the show because I meet a lot of people.
Sure.
But I tend to be so busy and so kind of just like everywhere, I mean, I'm usually, you see me zipping one way and zipping the other and zipping the other. So I tend to be a lot of places all the time. And I don't really get to meet and hang out with people like I'd like to. Yeah. And so, I mean, in future, I definitely want to change that where I can go do and enjoy. And I think that was the year, even though that was literally a horrible year in a lot of ways. But like, that was the one thing that I made myself go do. Like, I was like, I'm going to meet Edward James almost. Like, we're going to hang out. I'm going to say hi because I paid $10,000 for you to be here. So, and I wanted you to be here. So that's it. So yeah, that was pretty cool. But I mean, personally, I always love, like, I've had Roxy, the Rancor, and Lemmy the Lugabeast at the shows.
Oh, yeah. I think the Rancor.
Rancor was last year.
Last year,
yeah.
Cool.
And they've been a few times. Like, I've had them.
So, my daughter came up last year. So I guess she was a little over 3 at that point. They brought her up. She's dressed as Wonder Woman, and I'm walking her around, and we go up to the Rancor. And, at first she's kind of like, what's that? And so I put her down and, she's like walking up to it. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, it's freaking huge. Like, it's a big thing. And she goes and she like pets its hand and she turns, she looks at me and she's like, puppy. And I'm just like, no.
Okay.
Like, you're not picking the next family dog. Like, no chance there. And sure enough, but she would come back and she'd be like, hey, Daddy, let's go see the puppy. Let's go see the puppy.
That's awesome.
I'm just like, dude, it's not a puppy. Like, chill. That's a monster. Like,
that's awesome.
So, yeah.
It's like the dog off of Despicable Me. And like the girl's like,
puppy. Puppy. Everything's a freaking puppy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, those are really cool. I like those.
Yeah. And just the 501st, seeing all the different, Fred Nell,
so cool.
Which I'm hoping will be there this year. Fred, been praying for him. He's going through a little bit of health issues right now. So I love them. They've become really good friends. I mean, the 40K armor that they build is just second to none. It's incredible. They won Best in Show at MegaCon and for all of what is MegaCon's parent company, Fan Expo. So Fan Expo Canada, they own them. MegaCon.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah. They sold several years back. Probably 6 or 7. Yeah.
Oh well, we never do that show anyway. So.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, you're stepping in since they were bought. Like Artist Alley has become, it went from like 500 to 3,000, artists, and you're like, oh, I am literally a drop in the ocean.
Yeah. No.
But I mean, a lot of people love it and they go still and do okay. So
yeah, you do you.
But no, it is good for making contacts. Like it's a good networking show.
Hey, I'm all for that. Sure, I can go do that and just get a ticket though.
Just go.
Good. But no, I would agree, man. 501st, so one of our buddies, Forrest Davis, based out of Jacksonville, is he does a Mandalorian, and his wife, Ashley Davis, she does a bunch of different things. Last time I saw him, he was Mando, and she was like a pink stormtrooper.
Nice.
And then she was a Jedi, I think, the next day, and it was just like, yeah, man, 501st just does some really cool stuff. I love the charity work they do. Like, I mean, it's just everything about them is cool.
Right.
So I've never met anybody in the 501st that I wasn't just like, that's an awesome person. Like,
yeah. No, they're really great. Going to be adding, so there'll be some cool like stuff like that. And I always like to step away and see Noise Complaint, the tap dance cosplay group. I love Noise Complaint. They're just wonderful people, and I love having them at the show. They'll be doing a panel, a tap panel each day, and each day will be different. Usually one day it's like Disney, and the other day it's like Nintendo or something. But they love it because they throw in that, for anybody that hasn't seen them, they throw in this comedy shtick to the whole thing, and they work in like they're established dancers. So like, don't get me wrong when I say this, that they're doing this like, but any flubs or any time they skip or they miss a tap or they fall or they trip, it happens sometimes. They just work it into their routine like it's this comedy routine act, and it's just this like really fun kind of thing that they've created. They're also going to be doing they're not going to be tapping for this, but they'll be doing a Disney like not your usual Disney sing along this year, both days in the morning. And apparently it is they did it for GalaxyCon up in Richmond or Raleigh, I guess. And apparently like they're very interactive for this panel. So if you love some Disney sing-alongs, apparently it is like hyper Disney sing-along.
I don't know if I love them, but they're forced upon me right now. So I probably could hold my own.
Well, you would probably love just watching the chaos that ensues as your daughter just like is like singing at the top of her lungs as these crazy people do stuff on stage. So.
Well, I mean my daughter sings at the top of her lungs anyway. So yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, she's gonna have to bring her. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, that's freaking awesime. I'm excited. Yeah. Like I'm excited. And it's July now. So what? It's normally in June. Why July this year?
So the venue had a change up. So it's owned by FSU. Sure. It's ran by other people, but owned by FSU. FSU booked out like my date for the next like 5 or 6 years for like a basketball team. And so I couldn't have it at the beginning of June anymore. June pretty much fills up past that point with bigger shows, other shows that I would collide with. And but the beginning of July, past 4th of July, which I did want to be on that date, was more of an open date. And it really, I'm hoping that what it does is it opens the doors for more people to come.
Yeah.
What I found and what I'm seeing more now is a lot of people are like, oh, I'm so glad you moved it because my kid was graduating. Our best friend's kid was graduating. School was getting out. We were leaving on vacation. it was a crazy 2 weeks at the end of school because we were literally like school got out that like Thursday or Friday, then our show happened. And in my mind, I was like, oh, that's a great time to like promote, get it out there. I'm trying to spread the word. And just nobody is in that mode. They're not thinking about events. They're not thinking about going out. They're thinking about, I just want to get my kids done with this so I can rest.
Right.
Which, you know, you and I are going to be at soon. Nick, I don't know if you have kids, but
I do. I have a 9-year-old, so she's getting there. But
so you know about that end of school, like, you know, I'm not quite there yet, but so parents were just like, oh man, like now it's midsummer. I'm looking for things to do. Like this really opened up that date. So I'm excited. You know, there's not any large shows at this point booked on that date. So I think I'm going to try to keep that date open. I've got the next few years booked out for that date. So
nice.
So yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with that. That's a birthday weekend for me. So that
we're throwing you a party,
wonderful.
man.
Exactly.
That's it.
I can take that party. That'll work.
Yeah.
Of course, now I gotta buy him something at the show.
I was gonna say, well,
no.
well, Nick. I mean, Todd's just gonna make you work the whole weekend. So.
I mean,
So let's talk about kind of after the show, and I want to get to this real quick because I mean, you run around like crazy. Like, I mean, you are putting in work over this show. All right, like I'm exhausted just hearing about some of the work you're already doing. So how do you feel after the show, man? Like, what's that like for you? Because I can only imagine like it takes like weeks to recover.
It usually does. The last few years I've been staying on Sunday night, so I don't have to think about like trying to get everything together and driving home. Yeah. So that's nice because I usually just hang out. I hang out with Martin. Martin and I'll have dinner. You know, some of the people are still there. You know, my buddy Kevin and Amanda, they'll stay a lot of times, and just whoever's kind of still hanging out didn't go home. We'll have dinner. We'll just kind of hang out, and then I'll just like sleep in, get a late checkout, and you know, just chill. But for the next week or two, it's kind of follow up. There's a lot of things, you know. Visit Tallahassee is one of our sponsors, so I have to get things collected for them, so I get some of that sponsorship money that's paid afterwards. You know, trying to just kind of do follow up, paying people I wasn't able to pay at the show. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's probably a good week, 2 weeks that I'm pretty out of commission. And that first week, I usually plan on doing nothing but like the things I have to do, like trying to get the money stuff taken care of. So, it's a lot.
It's best to say it looks like a lot. It sounds like a lot. There's no scenario where I'm just like, nothing about this says this is easy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like when we've been talking and some of our conversations kind of leading up, it's like, holy crap, man, this is nuts. Like, this is cool.
Yeah. And I have a great, you know, mostly volunteer staff. Like I take care of their hotel and their food and, you know, and try to give them some money if I can.
Sure.
But you know, but I don't make anything. Everything goes to the show. And at this point, I hope at some point it's my job, but my paid job, that would be great. But like, you know, I do it for the show. It's what I feel like I'm called to do, what God has me doing right now. I you know, somebody asked me one time, like, so man, if somebody were to like to give you $5 million, you know, for instance, and I mean, MegaCon sold for a lot more than $5 million. But you know, it's like, you know, people are buying out some of these shows, Fan Expo, you know, some of that stuff. And people have asked me, they're like, would you ever, you know, sell? And I don't know. There's ideas and there's dreams and there's things I have for it. I think if I were really bringing in the people and bringing in the finances, I would pay myself, but I would pay myself so I could make the show what I want it to be for you guys. So, you know, so my passion and my heart, like I don't see myself ever being able to sell it. Like you know, I love doing it. I love being a part. I've loved the Tallahassee community and becoming a part of that. And hope to become more a part of that as it grows. So, you know, I don't know where that was going, but I love getting to do it.
You can tell when you're that dedicated.
Yeah.
That you can tell that the show follows right along with it. The show's fantastic. You can when somebody cares that much about it, it's a big difference.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I'll ask this: is there any interest of branching it outside of Tallahassee at any point? Like, is it going to, again, because I already know you do Lake City, but I mean, is there anything like, any other cities that you're kind of like, maybe we could do this, or is like one enough right now?
So right now, Lake City and Tallahassee, and potentially Lake City. If there's any Lake City people out there, this is sort of maybe what might happen. The thing I'm considering is there's bigger venues in Gainesville.
Oh yeah.
So I'm considering, yeah. So I could have some good, UF versus FSU rivalry going on with the show. Get a little good fun happening with that.
Fun.
See, so for me, it's
situation.
For me, it's fun because I sorry for any diehard fans out there, but I can watch a football game and enjoy it, but I'm not really like big deal on any of it. But I totally know people that are one way or the other, and it's like there's no sway.
Most of the games won't ruin my day. Luckily, we've had enough bad seasons to where like whatever. But my wife, she'll kill somebody. So yeah, no. But I think it's smart. I think it's a good idea. I would say too, though, like again, joking. I think South Georgia needs some love. I think South Georgia that we got to like find a venue, and I think South Georgia there's a lot of possibility. So
well, and there is TigerCon. I know Valdosta has that.
Sure.
And I think with, and you and I, Todd, have kind of discussed the South Georgia because your job takes you there a good bit.
Right.
I think the thing I run into as a convention promoter and growing out the show is that I run into the Lake City issue, which is venue. And, for me to do anything, I really need 25, 30,000 square feet minimum. And that's like that's become my base model. That's what I started Tallahassee in. And now I've grown, I'm in almost 70,000 square feet. So,
nice.
That's kind of, and honestly, even Gainesville, there was no outside of the college, which was a college owned, like their stadium or their basketball arena or whatever, which it was working directly with the college, not with an outside vendor that the college owned the building, like Tallahassee. And it was just not a situation I was comfortable with. I'd heard bad experiences. But with Gainesville now having a space, that kind of opened that up. But yeah, it's venue is just tough. And I mean, then you go into dates being open for venues, and it's like, Dragon Con's that date, and and Savannah Comic Con's this date, and that's picking a date is one of the most difficult things for running a show, and it's like
I believe it. Even just attending, like again as a vendor, like constantly trying to figure out what shows are worth attending and which ones work with life. Right. Especially again, you throw kids in there, and we've had piano recital on Saturday, dance recital the previous Saturday, and you start throwing like those things in there, and then trying to attend shows is. I made the biggest mistake I made on booking a show, and I will never do this again. But I did this. I did this the first year that we had a child. Was also the same first year that I was out doing and booking shows, and I accidentally booked a show on Mother's Day weekend. That was a really bad idea.
Yep.
I did not attend that show. Okay, so I mean, like it didn't happen. But I remember like the conversation because I was so excited about it, and because it was just, and to me, it was just okay. It's a show in May. I got a show in May. Fantastic. Like we were just booking shows. So to me, like even just getting accepted into a show, like I was just so excited. And then I remember, like finally looking at the calendar. And just being like, hey, that's Mother's Day weekend. And I'm like,
I can't go.
Sucks.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I should have said that. That was not my initial reaction. Again, I have learned since then.
Yeah.
That was I was wrong. That wasn't my initial reaction.
Especially first year because
Oh yeah.
She's got so much going on with having that new baby. Like, you
man,
better celebrate me as mom. You better be here.
There you go. So yeah, we made up for it and had a great Mother's Day. But yeah, that was my big booking no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, finding dates is tough. So, but no, I'm excited. And it's, again, going back to the July 8th and 9th, I think I think you're right. I think it's going to work out a lot better. So I am very excited.
Yeah.
So we are a smidge over on time. So I'm going to ask you the last question that I pretty much ask everybody.
Sure.
And that is, what if someone were looking to, get into, promoting and doing cons, what's the advice that you would give them? How would you, if they're looking to get started, how would you encourage them to get started?
As my friend, the great Martin Piero said, don't do it. It's a bad idea. I mean, so coming from a Florida con promoter, fortunately being in the North Florida area where, I mean, outside of Jacksonville, not as much. Tallahassee was kind of a con desert as far as Florida goes.
Yeah.
It's just oversaturated. It's like it came out of COVID and a few shows left. There were some that kind of either didn't come back or fizzled out or whatever. But I think a lot of promoters and a lot of people really jumped into it after and kind of said, hey, like, I'm going to go try this out after. And so Florida especially was already saturated. It just got crazy. So I would say if you're going to do it, first look at your market, look at your area. I'm also a business consultant, so this is going to get consultancy.
Sure.
So look at your market. I mean, that is like number one. Look at your date. Again, yeah, sure. If I were to do it during school time, I may get some students from FSU. I may get a few thousand people that turn out from the school. But my hotels are going to be 3 times more expensive, so I'm going to pay 3 times more. So what they came and gave me in attendee, money, I'm just going to put that in the hotels. Right. My venue costs more. So these are all things to consider. Like, summer's not a bad time because people are out of school. You can get people to travel to you more. It's a lot better of an option. You're not fighting football. You're not fighting basketball. So those are some things to really consider. And I mean, you've got to love it. Like there
you go.
It's
respect.
Yeah. It's either something that's in you and you want, you really want to make it happen for the people you're doing it for, to promote and help the artists, like to help the vendors. And really just to bring I love to see the family friendly, like people coming in and saying, oh, I saw this on the big one I always get. I guess Tallahassee too is like, man, I saw this on the Big Bang Theory. Like 75-year-old people are like, man, I watched this in Big Bang Theory and this is really cool. Like we have one here, and it's just hilarious, like to see that. But you see families that we're not gatekeeping. So we're not like, oh, if you're not like just a DC comic book fan, like we don't want you here. Like it's people that like saw a cartoon or watched one of the movies and they're like, oh, there's this thing and they have comic books there. And I mean, I watched the movies and I like them. So we see a lot of people that have come to the show and have gotten into comics and have gotten into this kind of stuff. Or started cosplaying because they met Fred Mel or they met the 501st. And, and it really just gives them this chance to they've never been into this kind of stuff and just kind of liked it and just really got into it. So that's the next thing. Just do it because you love it. Do it because you like it.
There you go.
And I'd say, last but definitely not least would be budget. I mean, it's, budget and planning. I have champagne tastes on I wouldn't even say a Natty Light budget. Like, I mean, it's like, it's like the jug. It's the yellow jug that says beer written on the side of it, like budget. But you just, if you're going to do it, like venues are expensive, pipe and drape is expensive, chairs and tables are expensive. It's it's a lot to think about and consider. If you want guests, it's a lot of money. So consider your budget, consider why you're doing it. Have a space, available, and don't go against other cons that are already doing it. Don't try to cover their dates. Don't try to be on the same time of year, because you will most likely get trampled pretty hard. And con owners will get very territorial, and
Sure.
they will go for the jugular. So just a word of advice.
Straight up gang wars.
Yeah, they will take care of it. I mean, I personally had to deal with it. We did have one show try to come to Tallahassee after I came into Tallahassee, and there was another show. So I mean, I've done it, but people were asking me, so I came. But there was a show that came in right before COVID, and they promoted, and they were going to be out at the Holiday Inn Convention Center, Conference Center, like at the interstate or whatever. But they were kind of a different time of year. They never came back. They started in COVID, and they just never did the show.
Well, I don't even think they ever did it. They took my money. Those jerks.
You did it. You were there too. You were supposed to be there too.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if it's in Tallahassee, I mean, I'm probably going to do it. It just makes sense. And so we were going to table there, and COVID happened, and they asked us essentially, hey, look, that we're not offering refunds. You can table whenever. And they never redid it. And
they ghosted everybody.
Yeah, they just took our money and ran. So.
Like, we had people that same year, so that first year we came back after COVID. That first year we had people that were like really upset, like, hey, I'm supposed to have tickets to this, and like we can't find them on the list. Like, this is handfuls of people. Can't find them on the list, and they were just like, yeah, we had this Comic-Con that's coming to town, you guys, like. And I'm like, which show? And I finally had to get them to give me the name. And it's not whatever they called it. I don't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Tallahassee Con or whatever.
I think it was Tallahassee Con.
I own the website now. Go to TallahasseeCon.com. It's a great website. It's called InfinityCon now. Anyway, side note. These people, I think we ended up doing a deal for some of the people, but they were like so upset. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. We can't find you. Right. And like the convention center's looking on their list, like all this stuff. And she's just like, we paid for tickets and we did this. And I was like, oh, and they told me the dates. And I was like, that wasn't us. That was another show. Like, sorry. Like, so that really sucks when a show like does that to people, and I'm sorry it happened to you guys. So
I mean, I appreciate it, but it's just, unfortunately it's part of the game. So, you kind of just play it. So I think it was like a little one-day show. I don't even remember the table being, I think the table was cheap. So
right.
I really wasn't sweating it, but it's crazy though, in terms of stuff like that. Cause I think them specifically, like they did more than just Tallahassee. Like, they were basically taking the same show and kind of going up and doing a bunch of different cities. Right. And they just like ghosted on Tallahassee. Like, I think they still did some of the other cities.
Right.
So it's nuts. Yeah. Can't trust a show sometimes.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, going back to what we were just talking about, if you're going to do a show, be good to your vendors, be good to your people. Yeah. Like I get it. Like when we canceled, I said, hey, I can't do. I think I did offer some refund time or a bit I could do if somebody just couldn't come back. I offered them the refund for their table, even though it was hard for me to do it because I'd started to take the money for 2020 already. But generally, most cons will be like, we're going to move you over to the next year. Hurricane, dates messed us up or whatever. But make sure you follow through with that, because that, that's a good way to smear your name before you even get started. So,
no, in fact, we got a show that we missed in 2020 that they finally hit us up this year. They're like, look, guys, if you don't use your table this year, like so it just the dates haven't worked out for us. But again, I always book them. I book them, on location and dates. Like, is it going to work for me and my family? Is it something where I could go make money at? And the dates since just haven't worked out. And I mean, sure enough, like they finally, and I think honestly, I'm just going to add one of my buddies like to the table, and I'm just going to let him go work the table.
Yeah, just send him with some stuff.
Well, like he's an artist too, so I think I'm just going to let him go. I'm going to let him go actually just work the table. I'm just going to add him to it and let him go. So again, I don't think the dates are going to work for us.
Right.
There's just certain months that don't work. But yeah, so
Yeah.
Well, I think that's great advice. And again, as somebody who lives here and has attended the show on both sides, we appreciate what you do
Very
and
much
how,
Thank you.
the
Very
passion
much
that you
so.
take it. And we look forward to helping however we can this year and rocking out and just taking care of business.
Yeah.
So that being said, we're going to wrap this up. We are Affinity Con July 8th and 9th on L. Tucker Center, L. Tucker Civic Center, Tallahassee, Florida. Come check out Infinity Con, which you can apparently now get to through TallahasseeCon.com.
I believe it is. InfinityCon.com is
InfinityCon.com. You can find it on Facebook as well. And we will be repping and promoting the show each Sunday between now and July 8th and 9th, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So obviously, if you have any questions, find it on Facebook. Come check it out. Come see us. You'll see David. He'll be running around, taking care of everything.
And my staff. Great crew.
And the staff. Great staff. Absolutely awesome. But definitely come check it out, and we will see you all there. Everybody have a great one.
Bye, guys.